Hello there, welcome back to Yubi Studio. I'm Yubi and today I brought a vlog for photo editing that is kind of like an extension of my self-portrait series because I received many questions about how I edit my photos. So to begin with, I mostly use Lightroom and Photoshop on my MacBook, but I wanted to introduce that Lightroom. I'm going to use Lightroom today for my tutorial, but Lightroom is available on App Store for iPhones as well. And I also wanted to introduce the app that I use called Polar. It's also an editing app, but the categories that I'm going to introduce today, it's very simple, but those 3 categories that I'm going to introduce are included in Polar as well. And I'm assuming those categories are included in any kind of basic editing app that you might find online. So if you don't have Lightroom or Photoshop on your MacBook, go ahead and give it a try on a different app like this. But for Polar, I do pay a subscription. It's like the only 2 apps that I pay subscription. And most of my photos that I post on Instagram, when I want to do a instant post, I usually just go through Polar and do the things that I'm going to show you on Lightroom and post them. And before I begin, so this is the photo that I'm going to work on today. But I wanted to introduce this reference photo because I usually work with reference when I don't have a preset. So preset is what I already have. So do you see it changes on my photos? So it's kind of like the filter that I already have. So I have my own presets, of course, because every time I have a photo shoot, I create a preset according to that. But since I've been working as a photographer for a really long time, I usually choose a preset that's already there, that it looks kind of nice on the original photo and work from there. So if I press this preset, there is already a made filter, but I could edit from here. And then I create a new preset according to that. So I haven't made a preset from scratch for a really long time, but since I am doing that, when I actually create a preset for a really long time, and when I want to make it from out of no preset background, I have a reference photo. So I used to study a lot with editing. So when I really want to when I have an aim of a look that I come across from a magazine, but I usually reference a lot a film photo. So this is actually a film photo from the same photo shoot, and I put it as a reference photo. This is where you put as a reference photo. And I kind of imitate that as much as possible. Even if I can't get it exactly, because my photo here wasn't filmed anyways, but to imitate that, and I try to put that nostalgic, hazy film look, that's how I retrieve all my filters that I have here. So I'm going to start editing, but I'm only going to introduce about 3 categories that I usually always tap on when I do editing, and I think these you'll probably find in any kind of photo app, especially on Polar app that I introduced. So to begin with, I'm gonna skip this basic column. Do you see the basic column? I'm going to go down and go to a tone curve category. So tone curve is my number 1 category that I touch upon. And tone curve, it might be hard to understand in the beginning, but if you get a hold of it and if you try make adjustments by yourself, like make a tweak here and there, try this and try that, you'll learn really fast. So tone curve, it's like making a point or setting up a point and making an adjustment according to the lighting. So if the basic curve is always like this, making a diagonal line. So on the right side is the brightest part, and here on the left side is the darkest part. So meaning it's creating a line according to how dark it is and how bright it is. So if I already made a little point here, but if I make a point here and I pull it up and down, so you see the brightest part, probably not the brightest, but maybe like a second brightest part, maybe here, I'm making it brighter, I'm making it darker. That's what I do. And when I make a point, it stays right there actually. So since it's staying there, I could make it maybe stay here. But since the whole thing is going up, maybe I want the darker part still to stay dark. So I'm going to pull that down to the basic line. Do you see the basic line kind of has a shadow behind it? And then, if you understand this, what the film look usually has is the brightest part is actually not like bright. It's actually a little hazy. I actually like kind of a grayish look rather than white, pitch white look. So that's why I'm bringing the brightest part here. I'm going to pull it down like that. Do you see how that brightest part, or right here maybe, is kind of becoming muted or almost dull because I'm pulling that down? But also, do you see the darkest part of the film photo? It's actually not black. It's almost gray, dark gray. So what do you think? I'm going to hit the darkest point here. It's probably here. I'm going to pull it up. Do you see my hair and the greenery becoming a little bit more like foggy and hazy? But I'm going to pull up the second darkest part so it's not like too dark like this. I'm going to pull it up like here and add that gray tone. And I usually leave the middle part because middle part, rather than middle part, I think touching upon the highlights and the shadows are really important. Okay. And so this is actually an S curve. So it kind of looks like an S, and if the S curve is like more exaggerated, the more kind of a look that you'll kind of get. And let's go. So these are the 4 tone curves that you'll see. So we actually topped on just the color part, the lighting part. And if I go to the next one, this is red and green and pink, and blue and red. So it means these decide. So same thing on the brightest part, how much red is and how much green is. On the, like here for the darkest part, if you want to kind of switch and twitch where the darkest part has green or pink, it's the same thing. The reason why I play with these, it's because rather than having like a filter of color on top of the photo, I do that on Photoshop. These kind of actually go into the actual pixels and change the color of the photo, which it resembles the film photo more, because film photo, the reason why they actually give this bluish greenish look, it's because the pixels inside, or when the photo is taken in a film photography, the film is kind of reflected in different ways. It kind of sometimes like misses it, and then it gives a little like error of the color. That's why it creates that interesting greenish bluish color depending on how the film strip is kind of reflecting the photo. So I play a lot with red and green. Again, I'm going to maybe tap on the brightest part. I see the brightest part a little red here. So I'm going to tap on the little red part on the bright part. But just make sure I kind of pull it back so everything's not just turning all red. Okay, I think I like that. And I'm going to tap on the darkest part. I do this a lot with my photos because I like my darkest part going like green or blue. I actually see a little bit blue in this film photo, which we can tap on here. See, there's blue. So I'm going to tap on there. I'm pulling this. I'm making this point right here because I want this to stay. I don't want the whole point to move. I want only this part to move. So I'm making like a, like a stable point here. And I'm going to, let's see how the blue is going to turn out. Yeah, that's really similar to look here. Yes. And I think that looks okay. Let me tap on the little brighter side to see what's going to do. See if I pull it down, it's putting a little more blue here, but I think I see a little bit of yellow overall anyways, so I'm going to put it there. So this is a tone curve play, and I always touch on the tone curves, and even just by the tone curve, we see that little hazy, faded away look. And after I do that, I actually go back to the basic. This is my second category that I'm introducing. It's literally the basic. I'm going to go through a little bit, which you'll probably know by just reading these categories, but temperature is about either cold the temperature of the photo is or warm the temperature of the photo is. Tint is about giving tint of green or pink. Exposure is how bright it is, and contrast is how contrast it is. And highlights, it taps on the brightest part. And shadows, you can pull up the darkest part like that, or make it darker. Whites, it's a little different from highlights. It just taps on all kind of white bits. Highlights, it's more about where the light is. Do you see the light here? Where it's pulling back. And blacks is about where its darkest parts are. And this is, I don't really touch upon texture or dehaze, but these are basically like how sharp a photo is going to be. I'm going to give a little bit of clarity. And vibrance and saturation, it's like how vivid the color is. Saturation, it brings all the colors vivid, but vibrance is different because it's not about color becoming more vivid, but it's more about pushing a little bit of that color itself without making the skin tone too yellow, like the saturation does. But I see here that that red is a little bit like less red than my digital photo, so I'm going to bring out the vibrance a little down. Yes. And I actually like how it's looking at light right now, but because I see a little bit more darker area here because of the difference of light, I'm going to pull back my shadow a little bit. And I usually have highlights really down because I like that muted flat look. But because, let's say, I didn't have that much light because it was raining, I actually want to boost that a little bit more. And I see a little bit more yellow here, which I'll boost up that yellow through the temperature. And I think that looks fine. The last category that I'm going to introduce is color. I'm not going to touch upon HSL today, but I'm going to touch upon color. So color is about literally picking up like each color in the photo and tweaking it like individually. So in this case, let's say I'm going to touch upon green. So here I don't really see much green going on, so I think I'm going to do what I want to do. So hue is about what kind of green? Like yellower, greener. Saturation, like we talked about, it's about making it color more vivid or less vivid, dull like this. And luminance, it's about how to make it brighter. I actually like the bright green right here, and a little bit of a yellow. And I see red a lot in my photo, so let's tap on red. I think the red I see here, it's a bit more yellow. So I'm going to pull it a little this way so it's a little yellow, and I want it to pop. And a good tip, either depending on what skin tone you have, I'm mostly either on yellow or orange. When you tap upon either of those and touch upon luminance, you can make your skin color a little bit more brighter. So I'm going to do that right here. And I actually really like this look. It's kind of like cold, moody, hazy. It kind of reflects the day that it was raining. So these are the 3 categories that are introduced, and only 3, and you are able to edit your photo like mine. I know this could be really new, but Lightroom, it's kind of direct, and just by knowing what these means, you'll be able to edit yourself. Please let me know if you have questions. I'm willing to answer them and help you edit, and even if you have questions about the app or the softwares that I use. And happy shooting and good luck on editing too. Thanks for seeing my video today, and see you in the next video. Bye!